Launch titles! Sometimes they're great, but most of the time they're lackluster. Let's review a PlayStation launch title and see if it's great or not. Ridge Racer is a racing game by Namco released to the arcades in Japan in 1993 and overseas a year later. It was supposed to be a sequel to the MX5 arcade game, but it turned into a different game. The game was notable for its handling model that is as realistic as this soldier model. I mean, come on, the actual soldier from TF2 isn't even that muscular. Once you boot up the system, you agree with Galaxian. This is one of the interesting things the game has. You can play Galaxian when it's loading. Namco had filed the loading minigame patent, which ended recently, so any other company can now add minigames as loading screens. Oh wow, what a basic ass menu. Aww, the game has 2 racetracks. Are you trying to disappoint me, game? It feels like a direct port of the arcade without adding much stuff to it. I mean, it's an achievement? But let me remind you that Daytona USA has one more track than this. In fact, the game handles similar to Daytona USA with its over-the-top handling model. I'm more of a grip guy, so I'm choosing the red and green one. You may notice that there are 11 AI drivers in the game. Man, even Ridge Racer had more than 6 races before Gran Turismo 5. They optimized the game for the PlayStation by limiting the amount of cars visible on the screen just so the game would roll at 4 frames per second and other optimization related stuff. I've tested the game's handling in 2 ways, using a PS2 controller and an Negicon compatible wheel. Since this was made before the dual analog was a thing, it only uses the digital mode. I don't blame them. The way the cars drive depend on the stats of them. The red car is the average type, the red and green have improved handling, and the yellow and blue cars have better acceleration, but they understeer, so you have to drift the car most of the time. Drift, you have to release the accelerate button, then press the brake button. The way they drift feels goofy, to be honest. I may talk like I'm a realist here, but if you want to get back on your feet, the game does that for you mostly, so most of the time I keep using the D-pad to stop drifting like I'm in the same racer, even though this is an arcade racer. The game is one of the first that is compatible with Namco's Negicon. If you don't know what a Negicon is, it's a sort of a controller by Namco where you have to twist the centerpiece up and down to do analog movement, mostly used for racing games. The buttons are very different too. The X, square, triangle and circle buttons are replaced by A, B, 1 and 2. The red ones are analog and go very deep when pressed, while the blue ones are digital. This was prior to the dual analog controller. And so, gamepad companies like Thrustmaster decided to use the Negicon mechanism on their PS1 wheels. The one that I own has 3 modes of movement: digital, analog, and Negicon mode. It is compatible with PS2 games, but almost all the time it's stuck on analog mode. The only PS2 game that supports the 3 modes that I know of and own is WRC 2 Extreme. Oh shit, I'm getting sidetracked! What I found fascinating is that with analog movement, I don't need to drift when making a sharp turn. Maybe it's the way I drive. I recommend a wheel that has a Negicon mode anyways. There's only 2 tracks in the game and they take place in the same place, though there are 4 races to complete: Novice, Mid-Level, High Level, and Time Trial. Depending on the race, the top speed varies from 160 to 220 km per hour. The first 3 races are against 11 races, whereas in TT it's a one-on-one duel. But once you've finished all 4, new 4 extra races are unlocked. This time they're in reverse, and on TT for in reverse, you're now up against 2 cars. One of them being the Devil car, the most OP machine in the game. He stands there when the race begins, and then it goes and he passes you faster than you can say shit! Then on the second level he stops, and when you pass it, it starts racing again. You must not make one mistake, or else it's impossible to overtake the beast from then on. It's pretty challenging with the track having blind corners on the extended part. The graphics look okay. It didn't age well, obviously. You can see the buildings popping up. But hey, it looks colorful. The soundtrack sounds awesome. It's all techno music. The least favorite is Raw to Damnation, maybe because of how random it sounds with the speed changes and stuff. My favorite has to be Feeling Over, so energetic and awesome. The best part about it is that since the game is very small, the whole thing is loaded to the RAM, so the only thing left to read is the music. Because of that, you can switch from the game CD to any music CD and can play the songs from it during the race. The game CD also doubles as an album too. So that was Ridge Racer for the PS1. It's really great for a launch title. The controls feel different yet great. The soundtrack is a blast, and the graphics are kinda dated but colorful. But I kinda wish it had more content, like more tracks.